Do you not feel? Do you habitually hide your feelings? Have you been discouraged from showing or discussing your emotions? Some people hide their feelings so often that they appear dissociated. They may look normal and be intelligent, yet appear cold and shallow. If this is what they want, no problem, it is a useful state for police, military or emergency personnel at work. Dissociated people often say that they feel empty or hollow, but under the emptiness are usually layers of anger, fear, sadness and guilt, often compounded by self-sabotage, beliefs about unworthiness and an inability to feel good. Probing this emptiness can disturb people who distrust their feelings, feelings that they may call irrational, bad or stupid. If something triggers these feelings, such people may crave drugs or distractions to lessen their discomfort, or just to feel something nice. Emotional control is often like a volume control on a radio. If you lower the intensity of one emotion, you lower the intensity of all emotions. We help people befriend their emotions. We assist people to pull themselves together and remember who they are. We are careful when we help dissociated people, as this often means exploring hidden feelings and exposing mostly forgotten memories. We help people to feel better, think more clearly and be friendly to their own emotions. Identity loss, dissociation, and dissociative disorders. If you punish children for expressing their anger, sadness, anxiety or even fun, they learn to hide their feelings. Later, as teenagers or adults, when these hidden emotions are triggered, their reactions may seem exaggerated or even explosive. This expression of buried emotions is often called emotional disorders, personality disorders, complexes or psychosomatic symptoms, etc. After 5 years of marriage, I hoped that one of us would get sick and die. I felt like an empty shell. When my mother asked about my marriage, I just walked away. I was not missing in action. I was dead on arrival. Nearly everything I used to be was gone. If your emotions remain dissociated, your loss of personal identity may impair your relationships, except, perhaps, with other dissociated people, inhibit your creativity, limit your intuition and decrease your flexibility. Dissociative disorders often refer to people who have hidden or forgotten unpleasant emotions associated with trauma or abuse. Then they often forget that they have forgotten them. Few dissociated people can define their goals. Even endless encouragement may not help. The best goals they can state may be negative, abstract or conflicted, often stated as complaints, for example, I don't want to feel so empty all of the time. Include some psychobiology of cerebral cortex, hindbrain communication. Can you enjoy your emotions? Identity loss refers to an inability to access and express qualities that are central to a sense of self and a sense of life. This loss often manifests as chronic dissociation or inappropriate emotions, obsessions and compulsions. My definition of abuse includes acts that cause people to fragment their minds and split off parts of themselves. Following abuse or therapy damage, people may lose access to some of their human qualities. Instead, they feel negative emotions, compulsive behaviors and emptiness. I felt hollow, like I was disappearing. The only thing that gave me comfort was sleep. I wanted me back. Nothing gave me real pleasure. I just wanted to sleep and cry. During our sessions, I started coming back. Miami. Severe identity loss may be called an emotional or nervous breakdown. Did you feel angry and anxious, and then dull and empty, and now irritated and bored? Have you replaced a vibrant sense of life with a search for distractions? I used to be full of life and had lots of energy, but since my divorce I feel empty. I am 41, I am diagnosed with chronic fatigue, but it's more like a huge part of me is missing. All I do is read and watch television. Leeds, UK. After 3 sessions I started feeling strange, and after a few more sessions, my crazy emotions started making sense. Now I can check how I feel about things again, and I am starting to feel motivated. Leeds, UK. Do you want to manage or change issues such as 1. Little sense of self. 2. Cannot describe feelings. 3. Cannot say what is important. 4. Often nervous, anxious and shy. 5. Feel unpleasantly bonded to someone, yet cannot leave. 6. shows obsessions, compulsions and strong limiting beliefs. 7. Goals swing between extremes, may be diagnosed as bipolar. 8. Tries to live someone else's life, showing chronic irrational emotions. People may lose access to some of their human qualities during or following abuse, adoption, parental alienation or therapist damage. This loss of self may follow stress at work or distress at home. If you feel emotionless or armored or invulnerable, we suggest that you seek help, especially if you feel desperate or if you may harm yourself or others. Dissociation techniques. Many so-called therapies and New Age techniques are just ways to dissociate. Have you been told to ignore your emotions, to throw away your self-talk, to clear your feelings or to destroy your ego? The long-term damage from such cures can be worse than the symptoms. Repeated dissociation can result in lasting identity loss, which is often accompanied by compulsive or obsessive behavior, as people try to feel human again. We help people find lasting solutions. We help people learn from their pasts and create worthwhile futures. Do you want to manage your emotions and to resolve the relationship issues in which those emotions began? What are identity issues? Identification refers to confusing yourself with a compensation personality. Lost identity refers to dissociated behavior, and identity conflict refers to chronic conflicts or mood swings between two identifications. Bonds refer to deep beliefs that connect or bond you to other people. Identification, I don't know what possessed me. Most people learn life skills by identifying with role models, and many people act as if they remain partially identified with one or more of those people. An identified person may feel normal while acting in ways that most other people would consider abnormal. Do you sometimes think that you don't belong in the world? One solution is to identify with someone else, perhaps trying to feel like you belong by feeling other people's emotions. If so, you may behave in predictable ways. 3 of the more common are: if you identify with an abuser, you may repeat their abusive behavior. If you identify with an ignored hero, you may feel non-stop anxiety or fear. If you identify with an ignored dead person, you may feel chronic melancholy. If you identify with an ignored victim, you may feel constantly irritated or angry. My wife is always frightened. She acts like all people are criminals. I keep her away from my employees and my customers. Boston. I always felt that someone was close to me, directing my behavior. I felt protected, but my sadness never made sense. Toronto. My anger to my husband started before I met him. My mother was a victim of my father. He was horrible to her, and I have always felt angry with men. Croatia. Identified people may say that they feel most alive when expressing the emotions of their role models. Recall your emotions while watching a thriller movie. Identified people may deny reality and say that they are right in a wrong world. Expressing their emotions may be a massive relief, whatever the consequences. During our last session, you asked me about my dead grandfather. Yes, my dead grandpa felt totally me. He felt more me than myself. Prague. I always felt sad. You suggested that I ask my mother if she had an abortion. She told me that she had 3 abortions before I was born. I cried all night. I always wanted an older sister. Vancouver. Identity conflict, split personality. Do you sometimes experience deep conflict? Part of you wants to, but part of you doesn't. If you have identity conflict, you may feel normal, just and right, even when switching between 2 personalities, each with different goals, beliefs and values. Some people with extreme identity conflict may be diagnosed with bipolar disorder. People who forget their prior behavior when changing persona might be labeled multiple personality. All my life I felt conflicted. I always tried to do too many things at the same time. I would make decisions or promises in one mood, and change them in a few hours. I know that drove people crazy. Thanks for helping me sort it out. London. Identity conflict can be easy to recognize. Do you have strong mood swings, or do you break promises? Are you unreliable? Do you deny or minimize statements or decisions you made in your other personality side? Deep conflicts are common, even normal. Do you switch from grumpy to friendly, and back? Do you avoid making clear decisions? We help people end indecision, endless conflicts or mood swings. Here's a transcript on complex conflict. The lights are on, is anybody home? Do you know people who are so preoccupied that they cannot make decisions? They may be a salesman's dream, they can be told what they want. We refer to extreme cases of emotionless, robot-like behavior as lost identity. People trained to be overly compliant when young may become obsessive-compulsive adults. If they were punished for expressing emotions, they avoid feeling them. Later, they may try to fulfill their empty lives in therapy groups or cult-like organizations. I just felt empty and my work was robotic. My wife and I divorced, but my marriage seemed pointless anyway. I don't really make decisions. I just follow other people's orders, like I always have. Birmingham. People who feel disconnect from their core values, or sense of self, may feel disconnected from their families or communities. This seems especially common amongst military personnel and ex-convicts. We help people find and reconnect with themselves as a basis for connecting to other people in healthy relationships. Identity loss is common, even normal in some groups. Do you know people who express no or few feelings, have few interests and hardly participate in life, are extremely reserved or generally preoccupied, have little motivation, they must be told what they must do, are addicted to movies, anger, sadness and fear are luxuries, cannot define their own goals, they want to be told what they want. Part 1, Recognize identity loss. Reclaiming your personal identity. Do you spread your life energy across too many projects and difficult people? If you don't reclaim your energy, you may feel overwhelmed, exhausted or overextended. Then, a crisis, disappointment or other loss may push you over an edge into what is often called a nervous, mental or emotional breakdown. Do you lose touch with yourself sometimes? Are you caught between busy schedules, family problems and other relationship challenges? Do you feel lost occasionally? Why not use our guided self-discovery as a way to reclaim your personal identity? We help people pull themselves together. We coach people to recover and integrate parts of themselves that they denied, hid or split off. Do you want to manage unpleasant feelings and transform unpleasant emotions into life resources?